we were part of the build a couple of years ago, if you remember. Since the COVID stuff come through, Jarrod's not been able to leave Australia to come back over here to race. He's the owner of the car. So the car's been going to a couple different shops, getting some upgrades, just utilizing the downtime to just make the car the best it can possibly be. So I think the last shop it was at was Reese Brothers Race Cars. They done the tie drive 5-speed transmission swap. I think they relocated the engine a little bit to help with the wheelies. They installed a billet rear end, a couple other things like that. Well, now the car's back at TKM, and Kevin wanted us to assist in switching the turbos from the Precision 98s that are on it to the Garrett 98s from Jose at Force Inductions. A lot of guys have really been going fast on that, on a single 98 setup. I know a lot of Kevin's customers, they've been really fast to the 8th with a single version. So this car being twins, they're hoping to pick up some power, hoping to be able to light the turbos a lot faster than the current Precisions. So we're going to get it back to the shop, and we're going to do whatever's needed to switch the turbos around. Fortunately for us, the Garrett and the Precision share a lot of the same flanges, so hopefully we won't have to switch a lot of the pipe around. I know this whole car, I mean, if any of you guys have seen it, it was set up at a PRI booth just after it was done. I mean, it's a beautiful car. Everything is polished. It's probably the most expensive thing that we have ever touched, and I just don't want to have to change a lot of the layout that's already done on the car, because everything just looks so awesome on it. But if we have to change it, so be it. We'll just send the stuff out, have it repolished or recoated or whatever has to be done. So it's been pouring down rain the past couple of days. Fortunately, the rain is pretty much stopped here. I'm almost at TKM now, so hopefully the rain will be gone whenever I get back to the shop, where we ain't gotta unload this thing with the pouring rain. So I'll give you some more footage as the video goes on of the switchover process, and we'll go from there. Alright, so we have everything off. I'll show you. These are the new Garretts from Forced Inductions. Garrett 98s. Unfortunately, the only thing that is the same on these turbos is the inlet flange to the turbine. See, we got it clamped up here, but we're gonna have to switch to a Maven turbo support in the bottom because these bearing center sections are not threaded like the Precision. See, they have an extended drain. That's the way they used to just kind of float on there, and the piping held them still. So we're going to switch to the Maven mounts. We're going to have to put a flange up here for the oil to get in because it's not threaded here. Just, that's kind of simple differences right now. The compressor outlet looks to be the same, so I think we're good there. The main difference in these turbos is physically, this one is about 11 inches from front to back, and Precision over there is around 13.5 inches. So that's going to throw off our downpipe fitment a lot. And furthermore, this flange is different. This is the Gen 1 Pro Mod flange. So the downpipes are going to have to be remade. And I was afraid of that. I mean, you really can't. Garrett and Precision share a lot of the same similarities as far as their flanges and stuff. When you start dealing with the Pro Mod turbos that Precision has, and then you start switching back and forth to different things, you know, one little difference like that can throw off the fitment of really everything. So, no big deal though. We're gonna redo the downpipes and get them freshened up, and we're gonna just wait until I get that done, get everything in the position on the new Maven mounts, and then we will see how the cold side lines up now that we've got all this bolted up. I might try to bolt the cold side up before I cut the supports off and just see if it'll hook up like they are right now and see what we need to do there. But we're going to get started on ordering some parts, and we'll see where it goes. Next update, we got the cold side here, and everything is close but no dice. So we're going to cut these V-bands off, and we're going to put these dual seal connections from Race Part Solutions on. This will allow us to rotate the turbo compressors into place, or rather just leave them in place and drop the piping right on instead of having to rotate this locator ring inside the turbo. It makes it where it's just a super tight fit when you've got a locator here, here, and one on the throttle body. You're all having to get in place. You also got our Maven mounts in. These are the mid-frame mounts. We'll be replacing the tubing that's on there now with. So like I said before, I'm going to get the cold side on, get these flanges switched, get it clamped to the turbos. Turbos will be clamped to the hot pipes coming off the headers as well. That will locate the turbos exactly where they're supposed to go. Then we can do our downpipes the way they're supposed to go, which will probably install the front end at that point and make them come out the hole just a lot better than what they were before. So let's get to it. So a lot of cutting, sanding going on. Just want to show you why I did that or how it's lining up. So this is the pipe that Reese Brothers made when they moved the engine. They had to change the cold side. We took some length off of here. We cut it at the weld right here, where the weld seam would still be in the same spot. We just cut that weld out. Took some length off of here, took the flange off the turbo here to make this a smooth transition. And now our pipeline's up. So we're gonna do the same thing for this side, cut the flange off. And here's the pipe. It hasn't been cut yet, but you can see it was like that. It don't really line up with the turbo, but we're gonna rotate it like just ever so slightly, and it's gonna line up. So we still gotta work that up and get that mocked up. It takes a little while to cut through that turbo. It's pretty thick. So after we get this, we'll weld these together, get them on the car, get everything tightened up, and then we will put the Maven mounts on. And once all that's in place, then we can move on to the downpipes. So as you can tell, I got the pipe modified and everything fit back on the car. I tried to tweak it a little bit to give the blow-off valve on the driver's side a little bit more clearance because it was pretty close to the fuel tank, actually touching it just a little bit. So tried to remedy that. It'll help that these turbos ain't gonna be flopping around anymore on the mounts. They'll be nice and secure with the Maven mounts. Well, now I'm gonna pull the cold side off and I'm gonna weld everything up, put everything back on, get it secure just like it was going to go down the track, and then I'm going to address the Maven mounts and get those in on, and then we'll move on to the downpipes. We did get our shipment in from Tycon. Got some 5-inch elbows there and a little bit of 5-inch straight because I'm going to need it. We got little M8 studs that I'm going to weld on the downpipes to keep them from rotating. We got some flanges, but I got the wrong ones, so I'm going to overnight the other ones, or I've already done it. They're going to be here tomorrow. So maybe tomorrow we can be done with the Maven mounts. We can start on these downpipes. That's the plan. So I'm going to set up the camera, time lapse, and I'm going to weld these cold pipes together. unfortunately, we had to cut the mounts that were on the car completely off because they were so far off, which we've already thrown them away, or I'd show them to you. They were so far off from lining up with the Maven mount. They were like an inch or so lower, because I guess the bearing housing of the Pro Mod turbo is a lot thicker than this one. So we just cut them off and we're starting over with new ones. So that's where we're at now. We got one already pretty much fit up. Cody's working on the top gusset for this one. And this one over here, I'm about to get started on. After we get these hung, we can take the cold side off and send it to powder coat and have them freshen up the texture black. Then we can start on the downpipe. That's where we're at. Maven mounts are mounted. We've got our tubes. See, these are kind of like the ones that were on it, just slightly different angle. Got a 1 inch coming up from the bottom, and then we got it gusseted back to the upper frame rail there. Same thing on this side. Just made the locations land the same as they were. So as most of you know about these cars, they have a staggered wheelbase, or most of them do, that are a full chassis car like this. So that means one front wheel is further than the other to the front. That helps with their with the beams and stuff, the drag strip. So this downpipe on the driver's side is a lot closer to the tire than the one on the other side. So still have to make them match, but still make them look similar to the same as far as their distance off the tire. So we're going to put the nose back on, and I'm going to build them with the nose on and just make sure they're symmetrical both sides as far as the visuals standpoint of it. Well, we're finally done mocking these things up or getting them tacked together anyway. This passenger side has really kicked my butt this morning for some reason. The other side went super smooth, and this side, it's like I was right there, but I wasn't there. If any of you have done downpipes out both sides, you know what I'm talking about. Trying to get them symmetrical on both sides is really nerve-wracking. For really anything in the engine bay that you're trying to look the same on both sides, when really the engine bay layout, usually the motor's set to one side on an OEM car. It's not in this one, I'm sure, but the turbos are mounted a little bit different on both sides just because they're clocked different. The wheelbase is staggered, a bunch of things to consider, and we're trying to make the pipes look the same coming out both sides. So even though they're not the same exactly, but I think we got it pretty good. Notice on these this time I did a little sweep back. I think it looks a lot sexier with the front of the car, how it kind of rolls back like that. Plus it fills in the cutout in the bumper a lot better than it did before. Oops. So I'm going to mark the O2 sensor holes, or the wide bands, whatever you want to call them, before I take these off. That way I can go ahead and cut those holes when I'm welding everything up and get them fully welded up. And then I have to make brackets to keep them from rotating, because any like bullhorn like this that's pointed up, it'll try to rotate when it gets hot, when you really get into the power. So we usually make a little bracket to bolt to the turbine of the where the threaded bosses are. I know the Precisions had the through bolt like the SFI things. These don't, but they still have threaded mounting points in the housing that we're going to use for just a little bracket to come off to keep it from rotating. So let's get these things welded up. Okay, if you watch the time lapse, you've seen that we got the downpipes completely welded. What I didn't video is installing the oxygen sensor bungs. My battery was dead on the camera and I just wanted to push through and get it done. Today, I have reinstalled the turbos onto the car, got everything mocked back up, and we installed rotation straps to keep it from rotating whenever the air is really coming out of the downpipe. Sometimes the pipe will try to spin out of position, especially if you've got a pretty good turn up like we got. I notice I keep doing my hand like that in the camera. It's catching my attention. But anyway, behind us is our finished stuff. Like I said, these are titanium. There's our little strap bolted straight to the housing. Makes it super convenient putting it on. Might actually assist throwing the downpipe up there. Squeeze in between the little curtain here. Definitely happy with these over the first set that I've done for this car. Just 2 years later down the road, I know a lot more. My work is a lot cleaner and these pipes look way better. I'm sure they're going to get polished and you're not going to be able to see any of that stuff I did anyway, but I'm definitely happy over the first set that I made for it. So these are the inlets. They come in, the grill sits right here, so it directs the air into the turbos, if you don't know what those are, sticking out there. So on the car, I'm waiting now on some paint to dry. Pulled everything off, finished welding our supports up that we made with the Maven turbo supports. These are the mid-frame mounts that we typically use with the Garretts when it typically fits. But everything just fits way better now. Things have kind of got out of position from what they were. A lot of things have changed on the car. A lot of things have moved around, and just tried to make everything kind of relax and get fitting right the way it's supposed to be. So now I'm gonna put all this stuff back together, and oh, one more thing I've got to do. We've got to tap these housings for 8th pipe because the vacuum line's feeding the top of the, or not the top of the gates, but the bottom of the gates for map reference. That's where they went. So we got to tap those, and then we will be completely done until we get our cold pipe back from powder coating next week. So let's put these turbos back on. Alright, everything is back together. Went through and hooked up the oil feeds, the oil drains. Got everything tightened up. Went through and replaced a couple of these vacuum lines because they had some bad spots in them where they had got on some hot stuff and almost melted through. Drilled and tapped these. Put metal push lock fittings in there. Everything is hooked up and good to go. As soon as we get the cold side back, we'll put that on and this thing will be ready to take back to TKM. Okay, we just got back from powder coating and we picked up the pipe for the vet. We got everything buttoned up. I think it had wrinkle black on the pipe before. We did a fine texture black this time. It just has more of a shimmer to it. In my opinion, it looks just a little bit cleaner. Got the injectors back in. Also, see in the bottom of the pipe there's an EGT probe to measure the IATs. A little bit more accurate than your standard GM brass sensor. But yeah, that's about it. Like I said, he's going to send these turbo compressors off to Dieter's and probably have them repolished, get everything matched up. I'm not sure if he'll send the titanium off or not. He probably will get everything freshened up, but just going over what we did just one more time. The titanium downpipes, we had to make new ones because the turbos were different. We switched to the forced induction 98s from the precision 98s that were on it. We had to modify the cold side to fit everything back. We cut the flanges off the turbos, put Race Part Solutions dual seal connections on there, make it a little bit easier to get on and off and lined up. And we put the Maven turbo supports on the bottom of each turbo to support those. Of course, we had to remake the brackets on each side, the stands to hold the Maven supports. And that's about it. So he's good to go, ready to make some steam now, hopefully. They're calling on a lot of rain tomorrow, so I'll probably not take it back to TKM until about Thursday or something. But it's been a fun project. I always love working on cars this nice. This is probably the nicest car that we've had the opportunity to work on, and we thank Jarrod for trusting us to do some stuff on it. So we'll put the nose on and then I'll give you one more little walk around of the car once we get it on, and then it'll be ready to go. So thanks for watching.